The 3 centimeters tall girl got into the fridge, lifting the lid with great force, and with a little dig. The stolen ice cream is delicious, but her brother, who was guarding the door, accidentally slipped, and the door slammed shut, and his little arm got caught in the door. Lisa is terrified. Teddy rushes to his dad, who is stealing the batteries for help. Dad saw it and rushed to put the batteries on his back. He rushed over to the fridge. He came to the fridge and saved Teddy, but just then, the owner of the house suddenly came home. Dad told Teddy to go home with the batteries on his back, and he stayed behind to save Lisa. When Teddy got home safely, Dad immediately used the toaster, and with a flick of the toaster, he made it to the exit of the fridge. He ran into Lisa, who had escaped. What a coincidence. The man was about to put ice in his Coke. The master pushed the button. Hundreds of ice cubes fell in an instant. In the nick of time, Dad got out a toothpick. He managed to stop the ice cubes from falling. He escaped death. It turns out that every home has these little people who live under the floor or behind the walls. They call themselves parasites. All the household items or food. When the owner is not at home, they sneak into the house to borrow. Yes, they call it borrowing. And this time it was because Lisa wanted a bite of ice cream. The owner almost found out. That night, Lisa was so bored, so she sneaked a candle and came into the room with a tape measure ready. It turned out she wanted to watch some TV, but as soon as she sat down, her little master turned it off. Lisa had no choice but to go home, but she accidentally bumped into a little dragon toy. The sound of the toy hitting the floor caught the owner's attention. She grabbed the pencil and ran over to him. Lisa thought she hadn't noticed. The next moment, the little boy picked up the pencil and climbed up the bookshelf, grabbed a mini little girl with a snap, and poured it into the fish tank.
Wow.
Go on, hit me. Get started with.
To her surprise, not only did the boy not hurt her, but he kindly told Lisa to move out of the house. It turns out that this house was originally left to the family by their aunt. Now that her aunt had died, the lawyer also said that Auntie didn't leave any will about the house, so the house was going to be demolished by the government. Lisa came home and told her parents the news. After some discussion, the family decided to move with the boy. On the day of the boy's move, they were put into a storage box. The boy had also left a walkie-talkie to keep in touch at all times. Before the moving van had even left the house, the box was smashed by a plank of wood. The 2 siblings were knocked into a gap in the car. When the mother saw this, the mother immediately grabbed the walkie-talkie and called for the boy. But no matter how hard the boy tried, the father didn't stop. The siblings eventually fell off. The brother even fell on a chocolate bar. After arriving at their new home a kilometer away, the boy immediately took Lisa's parents with him and rushed back. When they got home, the siblings, they started to work out how to find their parents, and just then the fat lawyer sneaks into the house. It turned out that the will for the house had been hidden in the wall by the aunt, and the fat lawyer was building a resort. To build a resort hotel here, he had deliberately hidden the existence of the will. But all this, the 2 siblings were watching. The fat lawyer wanted to burn the will, but the lighter didn't work. He had to put the will down to find a match. When he turned around, he was surprised to find that the will had moved on its own. The fat lawyer was a bit confused. He hesitated to do anything. The next moment, a large hand reaches into the floor and pokes around. The miniature siblings fled frantically. The siblings were the size of thumbs. Lisa found a fork, and then the siblings escaped to the roof of the house. They took a cable car to the pipe next door, only to come across a giant pigeon. Teddy was so frightened that he accidentally fell into the drain pipe, managed to get into a milk bottle, just in time to be loaded onto the cart by a milk collector. And when Lisa slid down, only to see the fat lawyer and his little brother chasing the milk collector's car, and the little master saw this. The young master immediately chased after them on his bike. Just when Lisa was desperate, a little man, Tom, emerged from the drainage hole. Tom is the wanderer of the little people. He knows his way around the city. He has a personal sports car. Just light the candles, put on his walnut hat with a little push of his hand, and he's at the milk processing plant at 100 meters a second. They soon found Teddy's location. Through the conveyor belt they were above Teddy, and just as they were about to rescue Teddy, the fat lawyer came and interrupted the rescue. The milk bottle Teddy was in was also burnt. The milk was completely encapsulated. Tom robustly threw a rope and wrapped it around the switch, and used his own gravity to turn off the machine, causing the system to malfunction. A huge amount of cheese spewed straight at the fat lawyer. Just as Teddy couldn't hold on any longer, Teddy's parents arrived just in time. The father launched his hook and managed to hook the bottle. Then with a kick, the bottle fell down. Teddy was rescued. The family was finally reunited, but then the fat lawyer arrives and grabbed his aunt's will, then got in the car and headed for the demolition office. The young master followed with the youngsters. With the help of a young girl, they got to the demolition office early by a shortcut. Then they changed the door sign of the warehouse. They changed the sign of the warehouse to that of the demolition office. The fat lawyer arrived. opened the door and went in, but the door behind him was suddenly locked. Hundreds of miniature figures descended from the sky. After securing the ropes, then tied the fat lawyer up with an electric fan. Then the little master arrived with the police. The fat lawyer was arrested and put in jail. In the end, the little master and his family moved back into their old house and became friends with the little people. And so the film ends. This is a fantasy comedy film about a man who lives in a house late at night. Have you ever heard? There's always a noise in the ceiling. Maybe it's the little people asking you to borrow something.